Hi, this is Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. It does help me out. Tonight I am doing a video on the narcissist and friends and kind of all the things around that. Um, so, I guess I'll just start with kind of the narcissist friendships and kind of my impression when I first met the narcissist. It works for either my ex-wife or my ex-girlfriend, but specifically I'll go with my ex-girlfriend because it was more recent. So met my ex-girlfriend, and she gave the impression that she had 1,000 friends. I mean, just knew everybody. And when we would go out, say to the club or a concert, the say first 10 minutes, if you will, would just be her running around saying hi to everybody, all the handshakes, the hugs, everything like that. Just again, like reinforcing this impression that she just knew everybody and had 1,000 friends. And kind of portrayed herself that same way on social media. And then as I got to know her and kind of her relationships with people, I learned that the vast majority of the people that she was like, rushing over to say hi to and stuff like that, probably didn't know her name and didn't know who she was. They may have met briefly, at a concert 6 months ago, or she knew them through a mutual friend who wasn't there and stuff like that. There's all these very tenuous quote friendships. I mean, it would be more apt to, I wouldn't even call them acquaintances. A lot of these people were just people she knew, people she had been introduced to for 5 seconds at a party a year ago, something like that. But again, I hope you can see, like, from what I've described already, that the narcissist is using her friends, or I'm sorry, the appearance of friends as part of her mask. And so you have this narcissist going through life, and from the outside, they seem to have 1,000 friends and know everybody. So once I realized like that aspect of it, I thought, okay, well, these are people that she actually, doesn't really know, and they probably don't even know her name in spite of how she's acting. And then I kind of like was able to like clear those out. And then the next level would be people that she knew more on, say, a first name basis because she had seen them multiple times, but maybe didn't know them much more than that. If you will, maybe what some people would call acquaintances. Like I don't know them well enough to call them a friend, but I know their name. I've seen them out. We're cordial, etc. So there was like that layer, and then once I saw like the number of acquaintances that she had, that again she would portray as just friends, and was able to clear those out, then I was able to see like her quote friends group, her friends, and even amongst them it was very different. They were people that had known her for, say, some time, that were familiar, but there wasn't necessarily any type of emotional bonding the way you would in like a true friendship. So it might be something like, oh, this is Linda and I have lunch with her once a month. And so that might be fun for Linda, but at the same time, if Linda heard that she was described as a really good friend, that might catch her off guard and be like, no, I mean, I have lunch with her like once a month, but that's it. Like we don't We don't have heart-to-heart conversations. We don't go on trips together. We don't go do things together. We just simply have lunch once a month, which is pleasant and it's nice. And so, again, like even her, quote, close friends ended up just being these people that she just kind of would reach out to maybe once a month or once every 2 months to go get coffee or something. And outside of that, they really didn't have anything to do with each other. And so again, so there was that layer was taken away. And then what was left was what I would call the closest thing to what she had as far as friends, friends, like some type of emotional bond, which ended up being her flying monkeys. And so the same people that would be in these like close friendships with her during the relationship when things were good, as soon as things went bad, they went into full attack mode. I mean, they went into to spy mode, to attack mode, to spreading lies, to the smear campaign. I mean, they were just 100% acting as flying monkeys. And so it's kind of a separate video. I honestly don't even know if I'll do it, but I've kind of been curious about what the hell does a flying monkey get out of a relationship with a narcissist? Because from what I saw personally, it was very one directional, where the narcissist might say, text or call her friend and then just spew this like emotional vomit of like, this is all the horrible stuff that happened to me yesterday. This is all the horrible stuff that happened to me today. This is all the horrible stuff I'm worried about. These are all the horrible people in my life. This is all the horrible stuff with my partner. And then if the flying monkey was able to get a word in edgewise, it would just be like, so I'm going to the museum tomorrow. And then the narcissist would be like, oh, that should be fun. Well, I've got to go. Bye. Like, and the thing is, like, that is, take that interaction I just kind of played out and spread it across like 10 years. It was a complete imbalance where you just had the narcissist would just, basically vomit and just go on these monologues. And then the flying monkeys would get almost nothing out of it as far as being able to input about their life. And yet the flying monkeys were fine. I mean, again, that's one of the things I don't get it. I don't know what flying monkeys get out of being in a relationship or, a friendship, quote unquote, with a narcissist. Because from my perspective, they don't get anything out at all. They just get used, and they seem completely happy with that. So that's that weird aspect. So once you analyze kind of the narcissist and her 1,000 friends, you realize she has none. It's all a facade. It's all pretend. And a lot of her going out and doing things isn't necessarily because the other person really likes them. It's for the narcissist to put on the performance of, I have friends. I'm going to go to this party with so-and-so, or I'm going to go to this concert with so-and-so. And the person's just like, I reached out to you because everyone else said no, but I'm not going to say that aloud. So the narcissist is, ultimately alone. And I don't include the flying monkeys as friends because it's just one directional, and I don't consider that like a valid friendship. I don't. For me, an emotional bond requires both directions. So that's that aspect of friends and the weirdness with narcissists. The other thing that I wanted to point out, which is a very interesting quirk. I don't know if this is specific to covert narcissists only, or predominantly covert narcissists, or if it's true of the other, overt malignant narcissists, etc. But I've read a lot that it confirmed this one bizarre trait of covert narcissists, which is the name dropping. So this is something that I thought was very strange right from the beginning when I met my ex, was that when we would be having a conversation, depending on what it was about, mentally she would be seeking a way to tie it back to someone that she tentatively, tangentially knew. So say we were talking about music. Inevitably, a conversation about music and bands would lead back to a band where she knew one of the members, and then she would name drop them as if, one, we knew who they were, two, as if we were supposed to be impressed, and three, and this is the weirdest part for me, and just narcissists, their brains don't work the way everyone else's does. So I get the impression that the covert narcissists, when they would say like, oh, I know the guitarist in, the Double Monkeys, that band that everyone knows. And so you're thinking, okay, well, I don't know. I've never even heard of the Double Monkeys. And the fact that you know Ed, the guitarist, great. That's neat. But the covert narcissist would like puff out their chest and be like, yeah, as if the accomplishments of Ed, the guitarist in Double Monkeys, somehow has anything to do with her. And that's, that's the head scratcher, is that the covert narcissist, in their goofy logic, thinks that by name dropping someone, it gives them some cachet. It makes them look more accomplished, more respectable, more, more someone to be admired. And again, this is something that just really confused me from like day one, because I'm just like, okay, you're not Ed the guitarist, so why would I be impressed that you know him? That's not the same. Knowing a musician, knowing an artist, knowing a top Nobel Prize winning scientist doesn't mean you're a guitarist. It doesn't mean you're a musician. It doesn't mean you're a scientist. It just means you know them. But for whatever reason, the in the covert narcissist mind, the wires got crossed, and somehow they thought that like name dropping would, one, impress people, and two, almost make people like admire them as if they had accomplished whoever or whatever the person they had name dropped had. And this happened all the time. So I was in the relationship with the covert narcissist for about 4 years. It practically happened on a weekly basis, maybe at the very least monthly. And again, it was weird stuff too. I mean, I remember like she would talk about someone that she knew who was of Scandinavian descent, and had a beard and stuff, and was like a big dude. And so it's like, okay, that's cool for him. But she would say like, yeah, I know a real life Viking. And it's just like, okay, you're totally weirding me out. Like, Vikings aren't a thing now. It's just like some guy who's Scandinavian. And two, you're not Scandinavian. You don't have a beard, and you're not acting like, you're not singing songs to Odin. So what does this have to do with you? But she would be very proud of herself and just very impressed with herself that she's like, I know a Viking. And it's like, okay, you're crazy. You're crazy, lady. You're completely crazy. But yeah, it would just go on so many conversations. I mean, it was very conspicuous that whenever there would be a subject that would be brought up, she would be, her mind would be racing to try to find someone who, say someone's talking about a museum or working at a museum. Her mind would be racing through her entire past of like, okay, do I know anyone who worked in a museum or studied or interned? And if so, I'm going to drop their name and say, yeah, I knew a geologist who worked at, the Met in New York City. And it just, it's just like, what, oh, okay, what does that have to do with anything? Why are you acting like you just climbed, pipe or, the K2 or something, or, it's just like, we're not impressed by who you know. But again, it was just this weird compulsion on the part of the covert narcissist that in any given situation, their mind would be racing, trying to find someone that they could name drop, and in doing so, act as if, one, they had accomplished whatever this was, and two, that this would supersede whatever was being talked about. So inevitably, like if you were talking about, like, say, someone who, was in a band, of course, Ed, the guitarist from Double Monkey, would, he totally trump that. It's like, yeah, your band's cool, but you're not Double Monkey. And maybe your guitarist is good, but he's not as good as Ed. And just like all that weirdness. And I mean, as you can probably tell, I found it very irritating. It's one of those aspects of the covert narcissist that stuck out like a sore thumb right from day one. I was just like, this is weird. This is not how normal people act. And it never went away. It just continued for 4 years. And like I said, from the reading and research I've done, this whole bizarre name dropping thing is actually very, very common with covert narcissists. Again, with like the whole, friendships. So, so, I mean, just even as messed up as the narcissist already is, and as self-destructive as they already are, they even manage to screw up something as simple as having friends, where it's not about actually having like any type of emotional connection. It is about, okay, what can this person, bring me as far as admiration or notoriety, and basically, going through life with these, so many pretend friends, and just not having friends as they just kind of go along. The one thing I do want to add that I meant to is that, while this is all going on, the narcissist is, of course, on their phone, having their 10, 12 emotional affairs with people, and also just kind of keeping like 100 conversations going because they need that constant supply. And I mean, at this point, I think narcissists, both my ex-girlfriend and my ex-wife, if it was possible, they would just marry their cell phone. They would just marry their phone because they are addicted to it. They are on it 24/7. And in a weird way, it's like they get most supply throughout the day from their phone than either their partner, either their favorite person, their other person, or even, people that they're just like, kind of vetting and kind of getting supply from. That, the number of friends that they have online, again, is going to be astronomical, but it's all going to be very, um, I don't know, I'd say like transactional, or something where there's a specific goal in mind. I would, I don't have a crystal ball, but I would say that both of my exes were very much what I would call, or I think the term is hey girls, where they would wake up in the morning, roll over, grab their phone, and they'd have like the 10 guys that they've been chatting with lately, and they would just write, hey, 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 and hit send, and then just wait for the 10 guys to come back with an actual conversation, and giving them supply that way. And so, but I mean, these people might not even be in the same state. So it's a weird thing where for the narcissist, they can get some, to them, good, decent supply off of their phone without ever having someone that they're probably never going to meet in their life, which is, I mean, to me, just kind of a weird aspect of like narcissists and friendships, because it shows that the narcissist is using people for supply, and they might do that by using them to put on airs, or they might use them long distance over the phone just to get supply directly, like feed me validation, give me compliments, and I'll send you some photos of me in my bathing suit, stuff like that. So anyways, yeah, I don't know if I had done a video on narcissist and friends, but I thought it was worth pointing out, especially in regard to the bizarre trait of name dropping that covert narcissists do. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks.